seats, place, and stand. Let us receive Attorney James C. Meggins as he comes forward.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. Good morning, family.
Good morning.
You don't know how happy I am to be here this morning. It's such a beautiful congregation. Just looking at the men, how handsome they are, and I'm looking at the ladies, how beautiful they are, and you guys are outstanding, I tell you. You know, what Reverend Stokes was just talking about, he was relating back to the civil rights movement that a lot of us were involved in, particularly those of us who were living in the 1960s and the 1970s in this country. And those like myself who were lucky enough to be students at Clark Atlanta University in the 1960s when Dr. King was still alive. I mean, that was an amazing time, historical time. And I think some of you know what I'm talking about. Amen. And the importance of the church. This is the point that he's making. Because I think some of you know that there are churches that would not allow me to come in and do the kind of speech that I'm going to do today. And for Reverend Stokes to allow us in this church and for you to allow it, it's more than just a motion, believe me. So I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy that you give me a couple minutes to let you know who I am and to talk with you about some of the issues that involve us here in the Henry County. And I saw the group of people that I was here today. You know that that group of people wouldn't follow me around to all these various churches if this wasn't a serious thing that we're dealing with, and that the importance of it is beyond words, believe me. What I mean by that is that I believe that we're about to make history in Henry County. We're going to do something that's never been done before. And what I mean by that is that we have the possibility for the first time in our history to control Henry County. And some of you may know that there are 6 people that make up the Henry County Commission. 4 of them ran for office this time. And everybody that was on the commission in January who ran this time will not be on the commission in January 2013. They were swept out. People were very unhappy, and that entire group of people that ran this time on the commission, they will not be there this coming January. None of them. I'm running for a county commission in District 1. District 1 is the district that you're sitting in right now. It's a huge district. It's the largest district in all of Henry County. It's the largest district. Now, you may know that we have about 40,000 people in each of the 5 districts now. Henry County, just to give you a short history, 20 years ago, this county only had 59,000 people in it. Today, there are well over 200,000 people in the county. It's changing that fast. One of the fastest growing counties, not only in the state, one of the fastest growing counties in America. People are flocking into Henry County, and there's a reason for it. It's because it's beautiful and it's a good place to raise our kids. We have a great school system, and we have a great police system, et cetera, et cetera. However, the commission that is currently in place has us in serious trouble. And that's why I'm running for the county commission, Henry County. These guys have run a $10 million deficit. In other words, they spent $10 million more than we have to spend through our taxes. What's the problem? Well, they just made some bad mistakes. And so the first plank in my platform is what I call fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility. And what I mean about that is that we have to have people in office who know what to do with our money. Okay? People who have to do with our money. These guys bought an airport that we don't need. They bought a golf course that we don't need. They bought a gun range that we don't need. And they bought a Civil War battleground called Nash Farm that we don't need. Now, as a result of that, we're spending $1.5 million a year in interest just to pay that debt. They're not making anything off of those items. They're just paying $1.5 million in interest just to keep those things in place. As a result of that, we looked up, we got a $10 million debt. Now, they have made some serious mistakes. I think that my number one thing, fiscal responsibility, you have to have people who know something about business. You have to have people who know something about the law. Otherwise, that's going to continue. I'm the person, I want to be elected, I'm going to do a better job than those guys. Amen. Number two, about 3 weeks ago, they raised your taxes on your homes in Henry County. You may have heard about that. You know about this. They just changed the rate. Now, why did they do it? Because they have a $10 million debt. They have to pay that off, and they couldn't figure out a way to do it except to raise your taxes. So if you own a house in Henry County, your taxes are going to go up next year. They went from an 11.75% millage rate to a 14.50 millage rate, a 23% increase in your taxes. So next year, in order to pay off that $10 million debt, they raised your taxes. That's just wrong. I think they should have looked for other ways to solve that problem, and they didn't. I would have found other ways. Now, one of the ways I would have tried to look is how do you pay that debt off? Well, one thing you can do is that you can attract big businesses to your county. Go out and find companies that will relocate here, provide jobs for us, and we can tax them and have them pay that tax bill. That would have been my first approach. I call that economic development. And I tell this story all the time, but I read when a mayor of Atlanta traveled to China to attract businesses to come to Atlanta. And that the CEO traveled to the Far East, India, and other places looking for companies that would move to DeKalb County. Well, why can't we do the same thing in Henry County? We should be able to do that. I should be willing to travel to China. I should be willing to travel to India if it means that we can bring big companies in here, provide the kind of jobs we need, high-tech jobs and all the other jobs that we need, that can pay some of these bills and get that huge interest off of our back. That's what I would do. Economic development is just common sense. That's what we need to do. And a businessman would know that. Number three, my third thing, I call this transportation. We have a serious growing transportation problem in Henry County. I don't know where you live, but where I live on Highway 155, you can barely get up and down there now for all those big trucks that are coming in and out there. And if you've been out recently where I live, where the new Publix is out on 155 and Bill Gardner, you'll see that they're building a 1.1 million square foot facility out there, which is going to be Home Depot's Southeastern Region Distribution Center. And they're projecting that they're going to have between 80 and 100 of these 18-wheelers that are going to be up and down that road 24 hours a day, every day of the year. And it's going to be monstrous. And when I talked to Reverend the other day, Reverend and I talked about some solutions to this. Part of it could be that they could build alternate routes where they could get in and out of there, come up with roads that will alleviate that problem. Try to widen those roads in some way so that that's a 4-lane road out there on 155. We've got to find ways to solve this transportation problem in Henry County, because if we don't, we're going to be inundated with trucks and other things in here that we don't want in here, and we're not going to be able to get around. We've got to solve that transportation problem. I'm going to come up with a solution to it when I become a commissioner. Amen. Okay. My fourth plank and final plank has to do with what I think is a serious problem that was caused by the fact that we have a $10 billion deficit. And that is the fact that if you work for Henry County, you have not had a pay increase in the last 5 years.
Yes, right.
Nobody who works for Henry County has had a pay increase in the last 5 years. That's because these guys ran up this $10 billion debt. So that means our policemen, our firemen, our emergency service people, our road people, everybody who works in the county, none of them have had a pay increase in 5 years. And as a result of them, a lot of them are choosing to leave the county. Good people. People that we train with our money, policemen that we train, firemen that we train, they then look up and leave the county because they can't get a pay increase here. They're going other places to work. But not only them. And I'll tell this little story, but what if you call the police one day and you need somebody to come over and settle a problem for you? But what's happening is that so many of these policemen now are being laid off. In other words, if they were working 20 days a month when they first went to work there 5 years ago, some of them now are working 17, 18 days a month. They're being furloughed and laid off so that they can have the amount of money they need to pay them. As a result of it, if you call the police one day, you might get somebody saying to you, well, they're laid off today. We can't send somebody to your house. Your house is on fire. They may say, well, the firemen are laid off today. Well, that's outrageous. And we've got to find ways that we can solve that problem. And if I'm elected commissioner, we're going to end this problem with policemen being laid off. They're not going to be laid off if I'm the commissioner. I'm going to do everything I can to solve that problem. Nobody who is an emergency service person should be being laid off. And that problem was caused by the fact that we have that $10 million deficit that we've got to get rid of. Right? Those are my 4 plans. Okay? fiscal responsibility so that we don't end up with a $10 million deficit to begin with, economic development so we can solve that problem. We have to solve the problem of transportation, and we've got to do something for these county people, the policemen and firemen and others that are currently being laid off and not getting any pay increases. All of this is serious stuff, and we've got to find problems. We've got to find ways to solve these problems. So I hope that you all will consider us. I want to tell you this. For the first time in the history of Henry County, we who are Democrats have a full slate of Democrats. Every opening has a Democrat in it for the first time in the history of Henry County. We are only one of two counties in the entire state that can say that. Henry County and Richland County, I think, where Augusta is, Augusta, Georgia, Richland County. Those are the only two counties in Georgia that can say that they have a full slate of Democrats running in every slot for the county commission. So we have a historical chance to change this whole thing. We currently have one Democrat on the commission, so that means we have 20% of the commission that we control. But if we just elect one guy, if you elect me, all of a sudden we have 40% of the commission. And if we can elect two people, we have 60% of the commission. We control the commission. We can do the things that we need for ourselves. So that's how important this election is. And while I'm talking about this, let me just add that the most important election is the one where our president is running in November. After we elect Barack Obama to the president. Can't overstate how important it is. We have to be elected because you know all the tricks they're playing. They're trying to make up ways now that they can prevent people from voting. All kinds of little schemes that they're trying to come up with to prevent them from being re-elected. We're going to beat them at their game. We're going to re-elect Barack Obama in November. When you're electing a president, just go straight down the Democratic slate. Just get all of them. You know that he needs us in place. He's not going to be able to get anything done if he has the Republicans in place and he's the president. But he needs other Democrats, people that believe what he believes. You need to elect the rest of us so we can help him get his job done. Amen. Just one other thing. We have a website at www.jamescmays.com. I hope you'll go look at it. I think when you do look at it and then you go to my opponent's website, you're going to see the difference in not only the education, but the experience and all the other things that are important for when we select a leader. We're not just saying vote for us because we're black or that we're Democrats, but we're saying that we believe that we have the experience and the education and the knowledge that is far superior to what these guys have to offer. The good old boys, that day has come, and today is our day. We're looking for a new day in Henry County. So please elect us, get some people in place that's going to solve this problem for us and move the good old boys out once and for all. Thank you very much.
Come on, give God another hand clap of praise. We're going to move now quickly. We'd like to thank Attorney James C. Mays for coming to share that vital information with us because what affects us in our everyday lives will trickle down to our spiritual lives as well. Amen. Amen. Because a lot of people are in the prayer lines, they're at the altar with prayers today. The altar is flooded today with everyday life situations. Amen. And if we can halt to some of those everyday life situations by putting people in place to make life a little bit more easier, to make life a little bit more obtainable for us, then maybe we can take that thing off of the prayer plate. Amen.